Good morning, afternoon, day, and night, everyone, and welcome back to a very special episode of the Low Potato Podcast. I'm your host for this evening, Brandon, and today I have the honor and the privilege of hosting one of, I can say, a good friend of mine. The basis of many bands, including but not limited to Tantric, Life Project, Lynch Mob, and Heaven's Edge, and many, many more. Give it up for Jaron. How we doing, man?
Yo, doing well, man. Doing well.
Busy year for you, I can say to say the least, right?
Very, very busy, but happy to be working.
That's what I like to hear. Because if I'm not mistaken, you and the boys at Tantric just finished up your 2022 tour.
We did, yeah. We had a full year date, and we've just been grinding away. Still out there supporting the Sum of All Things album, and we have a nice little break here until the springtime, and then hopefully it'll be out supporting something else.
That's true. Because if I'm not mistaken, you were already sending in material too, just as of like even like this morning from right.
Yeah. So with Tantric, the guys are always coming up with stuff. There's no really talks of a new record at the moment. But the guys are always working on music, and I'm sure they're preparing some stuff. But I've actually just been working on some other projects. So now that I finally have the downtime, I'm able to squeeze some of them in.
That's true. Yeah, especially for you, as stated previously, you've been touring basically in this entire years with all these different bands. Especially with back in the day, just as an example with Jason leaving Metallica because he wanted to do different projects. Well, how do you think with you doing all these other projects, it's just so fun to do nowadays?
I like it because when you're in one band, there's a lot of room for business and keeping busy and doing shows and all that. But creatively, you want to try to stick to a certain formula or within the area of what the band has been about for 20 something years, especially with a band like Tantric. You want to keep that sound, but when you have different projects going on, it lets you open up a little bit, and it allows you to breathe and be creative in other ways. And I think that's the best part of music. And when you're doing one thing, again, you're a little bit confined, but finding time to do those other projects, it really, I think, is good for the mental health, and also it's good to get the creative juices flowing. And I'm very happy to have a few different irons in the fire at the moment.
Yeah, it's great to hear too, and especially with you being in Tantric, I think the most out of like all those other projects. Because if I'm not mistaken, it was you and Sebastian knew each other prior to you guys joining Tantric. How did you guys meet one another?
Yeah, man. We played together in a band called Mach 22. And when I joined that band, Sebastian was already in it. And that was a Philly based rock band. And, we played together 4 or 5 years with that. And then once I jumped into Tantric and the position for guitar opened up about 6 months into my time with them, I thought, I should probably bring in a friend or somebody that I would trust. And Sebastian ended up being that person. And it's pretty much been the lineup for the last 5 years.
Yeah, because I think last time we talked, you said this is as of right now, this is the longest standing lineup for Tantric that you guys had in a while.
Yeah, man, for sure. Sebastian's been in about 5 years now. I'm going on 5.5. And then John came in 2020. So, it's been a little bit for him, but, we've had a lot of turnover over the years, and it's nice to have a nice little group of people that get along and click really well. And I, genuinely have a lot of fun when I'm out with the guys. So couldn't ask for a better situation.
That is true. Even more recently with the live project in particular, touring with Cassandra, how's that been?
Awesome, man. The Life Project's a lot of fun. It's a little different style, so I get to play a little more aggressively, and it's a challenge. And the rest of the band is awesome. Diana, Josh, and Danny. Danny I've been playing with for over 10 years now in various bands, so it's nice to connect with him. But of course it's nice to be out, with my girlfriend on tour. But that's what we do all the time anyways, whether it's out with Tantric or she's out with her band Paralandra. To come together and do it together is nice because we get more of that time together. But we're used to traveling together and doing things on the road separately. So it kind of just makes sense. And it's a treat to be able to spend that time, doing something that we both love.
That is true. And you can check all their stuff down on like Spotify, Instagram, or any major platforms. I'll be sure to link the majority of his stuff and any of the other projects as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And as some of you that may know, he's the guy responsible for the bass you guys see in the background all the time in the videos now, which I'm super appreciative about. I'm so glad that I have this from you as well.
It looks good back there.
Mm-hmm. And especially, I have basically all every single pick that this man had because I'm a little bit of a super fan when it comes to him and the guys at Tantric. Because you guys are every time I've always chatted with you, or every time you guys always seen you guys perform, it's always been a treat, especially with me and my father as well. So we always
Yeah.
always appreciate that.
Yeah, we had a good time the last time we were down there hanging out, and I think I have some picks you probably don't have that I need to update your collection with.
Wow, don't say that.
I'll be putting some in the mail for you.
Heck yeah. But even so, like I still find it funny. The first ever time I actually saw you guys perform, it was back in 2019 down in Atlanta when you guys opened up for Fozzy. And I even told you this the first time I saw you guys just perform by yourselves, is that you had major bass problems like for the first like three songs because you couldn't get into work. Have you had any problems since then, or like any recurring problems?
Um, sometimes here and there, but the that was a hard lesson learned on that. We were playing for like I think that was during the tour package with like Trapped and all that. So we were doing, an opening short set, 25 minutes or whatever, until to not have any power or signal for the first few songs was pretty brutal. But I think it was just a matter of some kind of power cable or something that had come loose. And of course, you don't realize what's actually going wrong in the middle of the show until, far after. So it was a lesson learned. And I've used many, what's the right word for it? I'm not sure, but pretty much I've made sure that can't happen again. And hopefully it won't.
Setting up the precautions.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, because especially with me becoming a music junkie as early as 2019, I found a new appreciation for a lot of the openers rather than for the mains. Cause that's how I found you guys. That's how I found Saving Your Witch. Check out that interview, please, because that was an amazing time with those guys, and so many more. Was there a specific like band group artist that you've opened for that's really opened your eyes, saying, "Wow, I've really done it. Like I've really gotten here."
I mean, maybe when I was younger, before I had joined Tantric, the band that Sebastian and I had done, Mach 22, we were getting tons of great shows in the Philly area. We weren't really touring much, but we got the opportunity to open for bands like Bon Jovi at the Flyer Stadium. And then we got the opportunity to do the Guns N' Roses reunion tour show here in Philly at the Eagles stadium. And that was one place that I would say, standing on that stage, like, wow, I don't know that there's too many things that could top this. Little knowledge there, in terms of what would come later. But that was definitely a cool moment to think, I feel like we've done something right to be on this stage. But, on the other side of that, we have bands that open for us all the time. And it's nice when you find one that you really enjoy, or one that might surprise you, whether you like their style or not. It's hard to not admit when a band is really good. And we've been very fortunate to have quite a few of those bands on our tours. And I'm very excited that, it's a way for people to find new music and to make great friends with, up and coming bands.
Yeah, that's for sure. Because one thing's for sure, I ain't short on the not talkative type and putting myself out there, especially because when I first started chatting with you, that was basically January of 2020 when you guys came to Savannah. And that was interesting too, because that was basically my first time, I would say outside my comfort zone, because prior to that, I've always been like in these big venue like arenas or like stadiums.
Sure.
But now I'm in like a little dive bar in like downtown. I'm like, okay, there's this set of music. Okay, what's there to come? And then fast forward now, like I was at my last concert I went to was at the 7 Year Witch one, and they only played in front of like 10 people. So I'm like, yeah, this is a side of music, but I'll still love it to death either way. Like,
Sure.
do you prefer like the big concert stadiums or even just like the little dive bars?
Personally for me, I like the small places. I like the clubs. I like it to, be hot and sweaty and, in your face with the energy. But of course I love to play big places too. There's a certain feeling that you get from that. And there's pros and cons to both, but I think if I had to pick one, I'd rather be grinding it out in the clubs.
That is true. A lot more immersive because I was watching an interview back with like Kerry King and uh yeah, Jeff from Slayer explaining how they don't really like playing the outdoor stadiums or like even just the stadiums in general because even like the daytime they said because they really like keep it face to face with everyone. But so I understand that too. Plus, it gives me like an opportunity to chat with you guys or even some of the newer bands I'm going to get introduced to.
Sure.
And back on the topic of tantric, real quick, because it's since joining them, you've been on at least two records so far, if I'm not mistaken. That'd be the Sum of All Things and Mercury Retrograde.
Correct.
Out of those two, like out of those two, like, is there a song from those two that goes underrated or under the radar as far as like one of your projects that you worked on?
Um, Honestly, I would say I'm probably the odd guy out in terms of what songs I like versus which ones everybody else likes. I thought for Mercury Retrograde, an underrated song was "Get 'Em All." There's a lot of cool instrumentation going on there, and that one was always really fun to play live. And then I guess from the Sum of All Things, I would say "Alone" is probably my favorite. Um, just a little more involved, a little more playing going on, and those are the ones that really do it for me.
Yeah, because I think from the last time too, you guys like playing a lot of the earlier stuff rather than Mercury because I heard from talking from Sebastian and John, Mercury is not to say it's a bad album like at all. Please go listen to it if you guys haven't. Is that it's not a an album that you guys just go to for set catalogs.
We played the hell out of it when it came out. We pretty much have played every song from it at one time or another. So in the early 2018, 2019 tour era, I would say we've really played a lot of those songs. So now we kind of pick one or two from it, but I mean we were doing anywhere from 3 to 5 to 6 of those songs a night, in the set list. So it's not so much that we don't love it; it's just we've been doing it. So when we crossed into 2021, we decided we got to kind of rein it back a little bit and go, to the earlier albums and celebrate that 20-year span of Tantric. And, we've kind of been hovering on that since. And we have been including some of the new stuff from Some of All Things as well. But, we kind of just make it up every night and whatever we feel like playing, we take it from there.
Yeah, but best things are always like you do it on the spot rather than plan ahead because it's not as fun to do. Because like I was watching a recent interview you had with it was you and Sebastian talking about how that's you prank Hugo because like he's never there to make the set, so he's learning on the spot.
Yeah, yeah. We throw some surprises on there, some curveballs.
Yeah, and especially with that as well. Going back to the older stuff, was is there a song that you believe that goes under the radar from the earlier Tantric albums?
Well, my favorites, After We Go, which we play often. I love playing that one. And I would say Just Once is my favorite tantric song. And we have been playing that one this year, so that's pretty cool. But they're all cool, they're all vibey and they all have their own thing going on. So whether it's a ballad like I Don't Care or Morning or, even, Breakdown or whatever, they all have their own kind of thing happening. So I would say any of them are cool, but After We Go and Just Once are definitely my favorites as far as uh, maybe playing and listening. But I think the second Tantric album is probably my favorite of the catalog. There's just a lot of hitters on there, and maybe we should dig into some more of those.
You should, because even on your guys' Patreon, yes, they have a Patreon too. Go follow that as well, so you can get exclusive stuff like all the postcards that they send.
All right, on nice.
But like I've been petitioning for you guys to play Paranoid for a long time, and then you guys come out with your little poll to play live songs, and they came on there. I'm like, I believe I was the first one to vote too, so that was fun. and yet you guys weren't around to tour like in my area to play the song. I'm like, oh come on. So here's hoping you guys tour in back in my area for Paranoid.
Yeah, man, we kind of started messing with it last year a little bit at one of our practices, and I don't know what happened and why we didn't pursue it, but it has been in the mix, and hopefully it'll be on the set list next year.
I'll hear hoping to that. So with you being touring like all over the country in some in like other parts of the world as well, I need your hot take because this is a running question that we have on the show. Which do you prefer as far as a fast food restaurant, In and Out or Five Guys? But for you, I'm gonna throw Raising Cane in there.
Well, you can't put Canes in there because
But
it's not a burger place, so it would be unfair to compare them. But
it's yeah,
if I had to pick those two, I don't know. I like them both. In and out is nice. It's always a treat because I'm from the East Coast, so we don't get it a lot. But Five Guys is everywhere, and it's probably a little bit better quality and more options for what you get. But my favorite of all of them is Whataburger, and that's
mm,
only down south and out west. So um, I would pick Whataburger. But out of those two, I'd probably pick Five Guys.
nice. We could finally add a Five Guys tally to that market because you're the first one to say Five Guys. That's not outside of our group, which is
Right on.
funny. Yeah, and even then, so back on with the touring, was there like because I saw back on one of the Patreon exclusives that Hugo had with a bunch of questions. I want to pull from those a little bit too. Is there like someone or like a group of band that you want to tour with that like that's similar to you guys' style from like back then, past, present? That'll feel like they'll be good synergize with you guys, or even you guys open for them as well.
Yeah, man. There's a lot. If we're talking tantric, I would say, um, I don't know. I know Hugo did in the early days, toured with Creed and stuff, but I thought that a lot of those fans are um, crossover fans. And, even some of the, I don't want to say countryish, but more southern rock, swampy bands. Um, it's not particularly my cup of tea, so I'm not an expert on them, but I feel like anytime we team up with a more of acoustic kind of, that sludgy style thing, the fans love it, and, um, I'm not opposed to doing more of that. And even some other bands, we did Mudfest forever with Puddle of Mud and Saliva and Trapped, Beer Union, Soil, Saving Abel, all those bands, Smile Empty Soul, who, you saw us with. All these bands, they're all from our era, and it's always a great pairing, and the fans always kind of come out in the masses when we team up for some shows.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with seeing Smile Empty Soul was like even growing up, it was like I think I heard of these guys, and then like oh yeah, I remember those guys, especially because like I said before, like I didn't really like come into my roots as far as becoming a huge music fan like to like the end of like 2019. So I was like it's always nice rediscovering music as well because I believe I heard you guys prior to that too, but then even then it's like do I remember you? Do I not? And then you put your first song. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yes, which is amazing to do as well. Is like, was there ever like a certain point in time where you believed where, or I'm not saying now, but like, do you feel like down the road, like you feel like you'll retire like from a certain like from a certain group first, or like you just tour with everyone until you die at this point?
Nah, man, kind of like how I've been my whole career, I do a band until there's a reason I can't do it anymore. I don't just quit to quit. And if I was to quit for, some odd reason, it would have to be a good one. But no, man, I mean, I don't see myself doing anything forever, obviously. I feel like every 5-ish years I have a change in the currents. And with this, with Tantric, I've just, added a few other bands to my schedule. So we'll see how it goes. But until I can't do them all, I don't really think about it. I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But luckily for me, I have a lot of exciting things that I personally believe are exciting to pick from. So I'm very fortunate. And if one has to go, then that's the name of the game. But luckily, the all the other ones are things I believe in and have fun with.
That's what I like there, especially because you've been playing like the bass for like since like if I'm not mistaken, the age of 15, or, and you've been playing ever since. Because I believe it was your brother that you saw shredding on Slayer.
No, it's just some friends, man.
Okay,
Growing up, in high school, it's just like I used to be a skater kid, so I'd be like, ah, cool, and then I see my skater friends down at the school rock and here, it's one thing when your friends say, oh, I play drums or whatever, and it's another thing to go and see them playing and then being really good, or whether it's guitar or whatever. So that was kind of the start of that. But I was the first one. Well, actually, I was the only one of my siblings that do anything music related. But my dad played way back when, back in the day, and didn't play for years and years leading into when I played. But I would say, that had something to do with it for sure.
that's what I like to hear as well. Because I believe most of my family is basically the sports types, and I'm basically like, yeah, let's just who cares about sports? Let's listen to music.
For sure.
Yeah, because I feel like music in a lot of ways, even more than sports, is the one thing that a lot of people can agree on more, but also can disagree on more too, especially with online and with like all these rappers like Kanye getting into a lot of these dramas. But even at the end of the day, I feel like most people can agree like, yeah, music can bring us together. That's what basically Michael Jackson sang about at one point in his life. Do you believe music will ever die, or even specifically, Gene Simmons once said, "Rock and roll is dead."
No, man, I think it only gets bigger and better because, though some of these bands might be getting older or retiring or whatever it is, it's, been 50, 40, 30 years since some of these bands came out. And that's 50 to 40 to 30 years worth of fans and new generations of kids growing up finding out. So I would think all these bands that are saying rock is dead, I mean, I'd say they're bigger than ever. I would say Iron Maiden and bands like that are playing to more people now than ever, and especially over a wider age group, So while it might not be, in the forefront in terms of focus and popularity, I would say that doesn't really mean anything because the population is always growing, and that's more and more people always finding out about these things, and that's a growing fan base as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's true. Especially with a lot of pop culture stuff nowadays. For example, with Stranger Things putting Master Puppets in their finale, people are like, oh yeah, we don't know who this is, but it sounds really good, even though they've been around for like 44 plus years. Do
Yeah.
you believe, especially nowadays, that social media is a huge impact on the music world, even touring world for like most bands nowadays, especially the underground?
Yeah, man, I do think that. And, I think social media is kind of, especially like Instagram and stuff, kind of replaced like magazines and stuff, So where I would go to Barnes and Noble or, whatever bookstore to go get all the new metal magazines when I was growing up as a kid, getting all the posters and shit, finding out, all the tour dates and whatnot. You could just log online now and find that stuff. And sad to say, because, I am a collector and I do love magazines and, I still use them and read them and look at them and all that. But, I do utilize social media as well for that.
That is true, especially with me too, because most stadiums nowadays like to go ticketless or paperless. Because like I want to start collecting stubs. I don't have a stub to say I collected because I bought most of my stuff off of Ticketmaster.
Yeah.
But I understand that like you got to go get with the times. You got to like conserve resources at best. But like another controversial thing that's come up in the music world that a lot of people have different opinions on. I just wanted to get your take on the Pantera reunion tour.
It seems pretty awesome, man. I've always been a fan of Zach Wild, and for people to say I don't think he's the right guy. I mean, I know him and Dime were pretty tight as far as from a reader or a fan's perspective. So I think them going out and doing that, with a friend and somebody that can clearly hit all the parts and is qualified to do so, I think that's great. And the fans will really eat it up. And what more do you want? I don't think there's a lot of criticism that can really be said. It's not like the other guys are sitting home and they're going out with a different lineup. That they've passed on, and they should be honored. That's music that people want to hear.
Yeah, like I have a coworker at work who believes that rather than just call it the Pantera reunion tour, they just call them the Cowboys from Hell, just to
Yeah,
honor that too.
it's kind of like how Sabbath went out as Heaven and Hell when Dio came back. You know, it's I get not using the name, but um, you know, there's no reason really they shouldn't because you know it's not like one person doesn't want them to. You know, that's in the band and no longer in the band. So um, you know, I let people do whatever they want, man. You know, I'm a spectator first, so let them
That's
have at it. You know.
that is true. Because even then, like just an example for Tantric, the only original member of the band is Hugo, and like you said, they've been Tantric's been around for like over 20 years at this point. Do you believe that once all the members, now the all not original members are gone, do you believe you change the name or you just keep the name at this point, or is it just like, yeah, let's like you just said, just let them be because there's no point even changing it if they already know who they are.
I could go either way with it, man. You know, I think Tantric, you know, that style and that sound was very much because of those four guys, you know, especially with Todd there. Um, you know, if the band had changed the name when everybody left and Hugo went on and called it something else, but still did Tantric stuff, I would totally understand that too. But you know, when you have a voice like Hugo's, and you know, you keep that kind of that same style of music happening, you know, I think it's okay for him to do that. But um, you know, I could definitely understand people, you know, saying you know they should have changed the name or whatever, because again, those guys are responsible for that creating that style, and you know, it could go either way.
Yeah, because funny enough with Hugo, like first time I met him, like my instant reaction, like he's like has the presence of Ozzy. Like he talks one way, but then like once he gets on stage, he's a completely different person, which is very surprising.
Yes, he's very gifted.
Yeah, and forgetful at times.
You said it, not me.
Yeah. Hey, come at me.
Yeah, right.
No, but a couple more questions so we can round this off.
Yeah.
What inspires you to get up in the morning and do what you do and continue to love what you love?
Well, the thing that physically makes it possible is Mountain Dew. But nah, man, I love every day. You know, I get up and luckily I always jam my schedule full of stuff that I want to do, whether that's recording or being on tour or going to lunch, you know, whatever simple little things in life, you know, make somebody happy. You know, I try to focus on those things and any negatives, I try to find ways to turn them into positives or to avoid them if possible. But yeah, man, I mean, I wake up, you know, if I have to set an alarm, you know, I'm not upset. You know, I'm getting up for a reason and to get things done, and it's only going to take me one day or one step closer to something that I really want to do. And you know, I have an ever growing wish list of things. So I think just living and experiencing life is enough of a reason for me.
That's good. It's funny that you bring up Mountain Dew. Can we please tell the audience about the Mountain Dew base?
Dude, I have it right here with me. Hold on, let me see if I can yank it out real quick.
Oh,
Yeah, man, I was gifted this by my buddy Chris Schmidt from Florida, and it's a Mountain Dew. It's a base made out of all sorts of Mountain Dew aluminum, and let's see, hold on, this camera for you. Good. Here we go. Oh yeah, I gotta turn off this thing. But anyways, it's not focusing in. I don't know why, but either way, it's a Mountain Dew base, and all you really need to know about it is that it is playable. I can plug it in. Sorry, I'm trying to get the best angle of it.
they're all good though.
But yeah, man, it's pretty cool. Uh, it's really more of a statement piece, I would say, than it is one to take on stage because it doesn't really sound fantastic. But it is playable, and it's an awesome gift, man. Because I'm a Mountain Dew maniac, and to have a piece like this is a treat. And yeah, man, I've got it set up with all my other Mountain Dew stuff. You know, I've been fortunate over the years. A lot of fans bring me Mountain Dew memorabilia, shirts, collectible things, and this is definitely the coolest Mountain Dew thing um, that I have. So very exciting, very cool.
That's amazing. The final question to round it off: who are you through your eyes?
Who am I through my eyes? I don't know, man. I'm not sure. I know what I want to achieve, and I grew up idolizing so many different musicians, and kind of like what you were saying earlier about sports. Your family's into sports, and you guys can debate stuff and who's the best team and this and that. And I kind of um, treat music in that same respect. When I see a band go out and maybe it's not the original lineup, but they have some guest guys, or it's a different lineup of whoever, and it's some all-star players, or even just some badass guys that nobody really knows. That's the kind of thing that really does it for me. So growing up and worshiping bands, my whole life, and people's like, oh, Ozzy Sabbath's the best, or Dio Sabbath's the best. Well, I like Tony Martin Sabbath the best, and that's the '80s Sabbath that everybody says is junk. So, I kind of treat that like it's a lineup, like it's a team lineup, and guys that just go from band to band and leave their mark on these things. Cozy Powell or Neil Murray, or whoever these guys are that I grew up loving. I just kind of want to follow in the footsteps, in the sense of I want to leave my mark on music. I want to play in tantric, and I want to be a part of that legacy. I'm on 2 records, and that's a great portion of that. And if I go on to do a Lynch Mob record, or Life Project, Heaven's Edge, whatever it is, I want people years from now to look back and say, I really like that bass player, or that one song, it sounds cool, who's the bass player on that? And they look it up and they see that it's me, and then they follow my name on social media to a link, and next thing you know, they're like, oh, this guy was on a bunch of albums I didn't know about. And that's how I've found a lot of my favorite guys. And I would like to just leave behind a resume or a legacy similar to that. I want to sit at the table, and I want to have a nice body of work when I'm done.
That is amazing to hear, and I will hope the best for the future and the best for all the rest of the guys at Tantric, Heaven's Edge, Lynch Mob, and everyone else. And as always, folks, if you guys haven't already, please subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and please go down to the description and follow this man on Instagram and any other projects that he's coming up and doing too. And I'll leave some of the other stuff that man's links as well. So, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.